All right, hey guys, it's Mr. Martinez. Now, obviously, I didn't want to bore you guys to death on the Google Live lecturing about all this. So, for like I said yesterday, a majority of the things I do when I lecture, I'm just going to record ahead of time, so that way you guys have some type of understanding of what we're going to be doing that day. So, obviously, today we're going to go over the history of the English language. Okay. Like I said yesterday, I don't really know, and you guys don't really know where you guys left off last year. And I'm not sure if this was covered, but this is a very important part to English too, because we're going to be going to different areas of readings throughout the times. Okay, um, so so the next slide, you will need to take some type of notes so that way we can know more or less uh, the importance of things, and then we are going to have a short quiz sometime next week. Whoops, let me fix that real quick. Now, so the overview of the English language. All right, there's different time frames. The time frames are going to be pretty important, so I recommend you remember these. There is going to be England before the English, so that is going to be 55 BC, 600 AD. Old English, which is 600 to 1100. Middle English, which is 1100 to 1500. Early modern English, which is 1500 to 1700, and then there's present day English. Now, present day English has changed tremendously. Okay, when I say that, that means LOL, acronyms, and things like that have invaded our language. Okay, even when you look at the dictionary or a modern dictionary now, you see things like LOL in the dictionary now, which stands for laugh out loud, obviously. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next slide if it will ever work for me. Now, there is England before the English. Okay, like I said previously, make sure you remember these years. They are going to be pretty important, especially during uh, your quiz next week. Now, Celts were living there first, okay, in England. The Roman Emperor Julius Caesar wanted the land from 50 to 410, okay. Romans leave, the Picts invade from north, the Scots from Ireland, and the Jutes, Angles, and Saxons from German army from 410 to 600, okay. Celts moved to Cornwall and Wales, okay, and the Anglo-Saxons kind of dominated England for a good while, all right. Now, like I said previously, there is going to be different periods, so remember some of these important facts, okay? Now, slide 4 is going to be Old English, okay? The Anglo-Saxons influenced the rise of Old English, Germanic structure, mostly words for everyday things. So examples are house, woman, werewolf. Days of the weeks for Anglo-Saxons were gods, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and some of that stuff has transitioned over to us now, okay? In 597, the arrival of Christian missionaries influences the English language. Latin infiltrates the language as well. Anglo-Saxon English. We get words like bishop, martyr, and font. Okay, now, the one thing I'm going to need you guys to focus on, okay, is English. The Old English focuses on words for everyday things. Okay, so like the examples, the house, the woman, and the werewolf. Okay, and then we also get the days of the week. Now, the next part will be the Vikings Interlude. Okay, now, the Vikings bring action packed words like drag, ransack, thrust, die, give, and take. Okay, Viking introduced 2,000 words into the English language. Now, the one thing I'm going to tell you guys to focus on is that second point. Okay, know how many words the Vikings introduced. Now, the next part will be Middle English. Okay, Middle English is 1100 to 1500. Okay, it really commences with the Norman invasion or the Norman conquest led by William the Conqueror. So this is kind of when we see a mix of different languages. We see the French kind of come into Old English now. So everything that we have today from our vocabulary has come from a different country, a different region, and things like that. So the French language meets Old English. It brings in words like judge, jury, evidence, and justice, as well as restaurant terminology, poultry, beef, and etc. Now, the one thing you kind of need to focus on is this is the key part when the French language meets Old English. Okay, we acquired 10,000 new words from the Normans. Okay, Latin used in church, English was vernacular. The Hundred-Year War with French creates tension between French and English language. In the end, the English language in England becomes the common language. This is also a key point that you need to focus on. Know who the English language was going against. Was it going against French? Was it going against Germany? And did they ultimately win? Obviously, that one's a pretty common sense answer because we are still speaking English to this day. All right. So this is early and modern English. Okay, we see this a lot more in today's times, and we kind of have some fallbacks previously. Okay, so usually we saw a lot of early modern English in the Bible, science, and Shakespeare. Shakespeare creates or steals, we're not entirely sure, 2,000 new words and phrases. Elizabethan theater culture perpetuates the neologisms. The King James Bible brings new phrases and language, metaphors, and more parables. The language of science commences in Latin and transfers to English. This is health-related and bodily-related terms, okay? Now, for the early modern English, you need to know that Shakespeare was a key part, okay? I need you to focus on that second point where he creates or steals 2,000 new words and phrases. All right, and then lastly, the last point is pretty important, where it talks about the Latin and transfers to English. This is where we get a lot of our health-related and body-related terms. Okay. Now, obviously, the next part is going to be pretty important. I don't know what happened there. Now, the next part is present-day English. So, before I get onto this slide, present-day English has changed tremendously because we've implemented acronyms into our vocabulary like LOL, LMFAO, and things like that. Now, present day English is 1700 from today. Like I said previously, it is important that you remember the dates, okay? Not necessarily March, but I need you to know the years. Okay, colonization and imperialist efforts brought in new words from languages throughout the world, from Africa, from Australia, and etc. Okay, from 1746 to 1755, scholars worked to standardize spelling with the publication of a common English dictionary. So, there's been over 42,000 entries of this dictionary. Like I said, the dictionary is constantly changing. We are adding and taking out words every day. And then we have American English, which is intertwined with Native Americans, the Dutch, the French, and Spanish, and the Germans. Now, for this point, this one is pretty important, so I would recommend you write this one down. In 1972, the first email is sent, okay? Then Internet English brought its own compendium of terms, texting continuously, and changes the English language, then equals global English. So there's a global English that everyone kind of knows the gist of, all right? So on this slide, the one that's really important is know that American English is intertwined with Native Americans, Dutch, French, Spanish, and the Germans, okay? We all have kind of key parts from that section. All right, now the assignment today. Let me go ahead and explain a little of what I don't want to see. I don't want to see one-word responses. Okay, one-word responses show me that you're just writing randomly yes, no, and things like that. So I will give you to the end of the day to change that. All right, now the assignment itself is reflect on what you have learned during this PowerPoint. What has changed since technology has advanced? Do we speak differently? Do we have slang that has invaded our English vocabulary? Now, I want you to give me examples, okay? The reason being is I need to show that you guys are able to connect this PowerPoint to real-world things that are going on today, okay? Obviously, technology has technology made or helped us become better writers? Has it kind of made us worse and things like that? That's something you can talk about in that first question. Do we speak differently? Now, everyone has a very professional language and a very friendly language that you talk with your friends. Now, you're not going to talk very professional to your friends, especially when you're around them. You're going to talk a little more immaturely and things like that. Now, the next thing is do we have slang that has invaded our English vocabulary? The one last year was say less or something like that, and bed and words like that. So do we have slang now that has invaded our English vocabulary? If so, tell me what it is and tell me what it means, and things like that. All right. You can either turn this in on a Google Doc or you can write it as a comment underneath, I believe. And then I also put some other references for you guys. You guys can just click on the PowerPoint, and then these will be there for you. Okay, you can just go watch these YouTube videos. Now, I recommend you don't because they are a little lengthy, and depending on how much time you want to spend on this, we'll kind of decide if you want to do it. Okay, I will be live still, so if you guys want to jump back in to talk to me about some of your thoughts and things like that, we can talk. Okay. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me, guys. Good luck today.